At the northern end of Michigan, the road runs through Old Copper Country toward the edge of Lake Superior. Today, travelers follow that road to Copper Harbor. They drive across Brockway Mountain, stay in log cabins near an old golf course, and board boats bound for Isle Royale. It feels like a vacation route planned from the beginning. It was not. In the early 1930s, Keweenaw County was facing economic ruin. Copper mines had closed or sharply reduced operations. Families that had depended on mining for generations were suddenly without steady work. Yet during those same desperate years, public workers began building three ambitious projects. One was a road across the top of a mountain. Another was a publicly owned golf course and resort. The third involved turning a remote Lake Superior island into a national park. The projects were managed separately. They used different programs, followed different schedules, and answered to different public agencies. There is no evidence that they were components of one official master plan. But taken together, Brockway Mountain Drive, Keweenaw Park, and the development of Isle Royale National Park helped create a new reason to travel to the end of the Keweenaw Peninsula. This is the story of what happened when copper went quiet and public workers began building what came next. What to do when the mines close. For much of the 19th and early 20th centuries, copper mining shaped life in the Keweenaw Peninsula. Mines created towns, railroads, and fortunes. They also made thousands of families dependent on a single industry. When copper prices weakened and companies cut production, the effects reached nearly every household and business. The trouble did not begin with the stock market crash of 1929. Some Keweenaw mines were already struggling. The Great Depression made a serious decline much worse. In September 1932, mining companies announced major suspensions on the peninsula. As many as 1,000 families were reportedly left without work or dependable income. A state relief report placed unemployment in the county at 75%. That number is difficult to picture. It meant that in many neighborhoods, finding someone with a regular paycheck may have been harder than finding someone without one. County officials needed federal assistance. But the relief programs of the period were not limited to issuing food or cash. Many were built around the idea that unemployed people should be paid to construct something useful. That approach created its own question. What could a remote county build that would still matter after the emergency money ended? One answer was already taking shape above Copper Harbor. Carving out Brockway Mountain Drive. A scenic road across Brockway Mountain had been proposed before the worst years of the Depression. The economic crisis gave Keweenaw County a powerful reason to proceed. The Keweenaw County Road Commission began construction in 1933. Federal assistance supported the work, and Civil Works Administration money helped finance additional construction in 1934. The job was designed to employ people. Much of the grading was done by hand. Workers used shovels, picks, and wheelbarrows. Horses hauled materials. Stone walls were assembled along the road and at viewing areas. Accounts vary in the exact workforce. The project generally employed about 150 to 200 men, while some reports placed the peak number higher. The road became passable in October 1933, only months after work began. Improvements continued during the following years. By June 1935, the Road Commission considered the main project complete. The result was a route of roughly 9 miles along the ridge. At its highest point, the road reached about 1,320 feet above sea level and approximately 720 feet above Lake Superior. The road did more than connect 2 points on a map. It gave motorists an experience they could not get from the main highway below. Drivers climbed above the forests. They could look toward vistas of Copper Harbor, Lake Superior, and nearby inland lakes. Under clear conditions, they could even see Isle Royale far across the water. The road quickly became an attraction in its own right. A newspaper report published in 1938 estimated that at least 1 million people had traveled Brockway Mountain Drive during its first 5 years. A small private business known as Skytop Inn opened at the summit during the mid-1930s. It was not a government project, but its location showed how public construction could support private activity. Motorists now had a place to stop, buy something, and take in the view. Brockway Mountain Drive had created access and publicity, but a scenic road alone could not persuade many visitors to remain for several days. The county needed lodging, meals, and recreation. An innovative man named Ocha Potter believed he had the answer. A resort in Michigan's extreme north, Keweenaw Park and golf course. Ocha Potter was superintendent of the Amique mine and a member of the Keweenaw County Road Commission. He understood mining, local government, and the seriousness of the employment crisis. His proposal was unusual. Potter wanted the county to build a publicly owned golf course, clubhouse, and cabin resort near Copper Harbor. The project became known as Keweenaw Park and Golf Course. About 167 acres were obtained from the Keweenaw Copper Company for the development. Golf was not an easy idea to defend during the Great Depression. To many Americans, the game remained connected with private clubs and wealthy players. Critics questioned why federal relief money should support recreation while local families struggled to buy food and heat their homes. The project gained an unflattering nickname, Potter's Folly. Potter's reasoning was more practical than the nickname suggested. Construction would create immediate employment. The finished resort could bring paying visitors into Keweenaw County. Those visitors would need gasoline, food, rooms, and transportation. There was talk of creating ski areas to make it a year-round destination. Work began during the winter of 1933 to 34 with support from the Civil Works Administration. Later, work received assistance through the Works Progress Administration. A crew of 124 men faced a heavily wooded property. Historical accounts state that workers cut about 18,700 trees and removed roughly 16,500 stumps. The clearing was not simply thrown away. Large pine and spruce logs were set aside for the clubhouse and cabins. About 3,000 cords of hardwood and firewood were reportedly distributed to families receiving relief. The project cost was reported at approximately $126,000. About 3/4 of that amount went to wages. Potter was not a trained golf architect. He obtained golf design books, studied them, and laid out the course himself. His plan called for 18 holes, but workers completed only 9. The clubhouse rose from the same property being cleared for the fairways. Massive logs formed the walls. Local stone was used in the foundations and fireplaces. The building looked less like a formal country club and more like a northern hunting lodge. Political conflict followed the construction. Criticism over the use of relief money continued. A labor dispute added to the controversy. State and federal officials eventually removed Potter from his relief program position. He remained a member of the County Road Commission and continued to support the project in that role. The dispute could have ended the development. Instead, work continued. On June 23, 1935, the clubhouse and 9-hole course formally opened. Historical accounts place attendance at more than 2,000 people. The celebration included golf, prizes, and refreshments. The first Keweenaw Supervisors' Cup was played that day. 3 days later, about 100 women reportedly attended the resort's First Ladies' Day. The program included golf and bridge. The clubhouse became more than a place to register for a round. Golf professional Al Bavard stayed in an upstairs loft during the summer. The lower level included locker rooms, showers, and a gathering place known as the Grill. Guests could eat, socialize, or sit near one of the large stone fireplaces. WPA-supported construction added cabins between 1935 and 1938. The cabins carried the same rustic design, with log walls, simple furnishings, and stone hearths. The county now had something Brockway Mountain Drive could not provide. It had a place where motorists could spend the night. Keweenaw Park could keep visitors near Copper Harbor. At the same time, another federal initiative was developing across Lake Superior, linking to the green gem of Superior, Isle Royale National Park. Isle Royale sits in northwestern Lake Superior. Although separated from the mainland by miles of open water, the island is part of Keweenaw County. Congress authorized Isle Royale National Park on March 3, 1931. Authorization, however, did not instantly create a functioning park. The federal government still had to acquire private land and mineral rights. Park officials had to determine where visitors would arrive, where boats could dock, and how people would move through an island without roads. In 1935, President Franklin Roosevelt approved Civilian Conservation Corps camps on Isle Royale. Between 1935 and 1941, approximately 400 CCC enrollees worked on the island. They built docks, trails, campgrounds, fire towers, and administrative structures. They installed facilities needed by visitors and park employees. During the severe Isle Royale fire of 1936, CCC crews also joined efforts to control the blaze. The local benefits were more indirect. Island construction required boats, supplies, and transportation. As interest in the proposed national park increased, Copper Harbor gained another reason for travelers to come north. Private charter service from Copper Harbor to Isle Royale began around 1930, before the park was formally established. Early boats carried campers, fishermen, and other visitors across Lake Superior. That crossing was not a short harbor cruise. Isle Royale lies about 55 miles northwest of Copper Harbor. Weather could turn the trip into a demanding passage. Yet the distance was part of the attraction. The island offered an experience far removed from factory cities, crowded highways, and daily routines. Isle Royale officially became a national park on April 3, 1940, after the federal government secured the required property interests. By then, Copper Harbor was becoming an established island gateway. Boat service linked the village with a national destination that could not be reached by automobile. The new park did not replace the mines. It did not employ every local family. But it strengthened the northern Keweenaw's identity as a place people would travel a long distance to visit. 3 projects, 1 developing economy. Brockway Mountain Drive, Keweenaw Park, and Isle Royale National Park were not a single coordinated development. The road and resort were led locally, with support from federal relief programs. Isle Royale was a national conservation project shaped by congressional action, federal land acquisition, and CCC labor. Still, the 3 initiatives began to function like parts of a regional visitor economy. A motorist could travel north through the former mining communities, continue toward Copper Harbor, and climb Brockway Mountain Drive. The driver could stop at Skytop Inn, look across Lake Superior, and descend toward the village. The same traveler could stay at Keweenaw Park, eat in the clubhouse, sleep in a log cabin, and play 9 holes the next morning. From Copper Harbor, the visitor could board a ferry boat for Isle Royale. We couldn't find much evidence that officials sold all of this as one formal regional development program during the 1930s Depression, but each public works project made the others more useful. Brockway Mountain Drive brought automobiles and attention. Keweenaw Park offered lodging, meals, and recreation. Isle Royale gave Copper Harbor a nationally recognized destination across the water. Private businesses could serve the traffic moving among them. Inns, restaurants, gasoline stations, stores, and boat operators all had potential customers. In that sense, the Depression-era projects changed how the county could present itself. Distance had long been an economic problem. Now, distance could also be sold as an escape. FDR's public works projects 80 years later. It would be easy to turn this story into a simple success tale, The record is more complicated. Public construction provided much-needed wages. It created roads and buildings that lasted far longer than the original work programs. It encouraged travel and supported private business. But tourism did not replace the copper industry's employment, population, or industrial output. Tourism was seasonal. Many jobs pay less than mining. Families still left the county in search of steadier work. The economic damage caused by mine closures did not disappear when the first golfers stepped onto the course. Some plans also remained unfinished. Potter wanted an 18-hole course. Only 9 holes were built. The lodge itself faced changing fortunes, public criticism, and decades of uncertain finances. The strongest case for these projects rests on time. Brockway Mountain Drive remains one of the region's best-known roads. It was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 2017. Isle Royale became a national park, and much of the island later received federal wilderness protection. Keweenaw Park became the Keweenaw Mountain Lodge. The property was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1980. Its original 9-hole course remains in use. Today, the course is walking only and played with hickory-shafted clubs, bringing the game closer to the equipment and pace of its early years. The stone fireplaces still stand. The log clubhouse remains. Visitors still travel the road that Potter and his workers hoped they would. They were 3 separate responses to one difficult period. Together, they helped create a route and an exciting destination that still brings visitors to Michigan's northernmost point. Thanks for listening to End of the Road in Michigan. Please follow us for future episodes. And if you have an idea for a great Michigan story, let us know in the comments.